Yeah, I got a story about a man named Calvin Bryant coming out of Lake Placid, Florida. This is an 81-year-old man that plants his own fruits and vegetables. And he kind of feels like this is the kind of road that black people themselves should kind of, it's kind of a direction that we should take in ourselves, you know, kind of going forward as we can see how society has definitely changed and how we should definitely take grasp of our future. I can quote him by saying, "This here land we standing on is full of okra, turnip, mustard greens, tomatoes, and broccoli.
Okay.
Some of it I sell, some of it I give away. If people don't have money, I mainly just give it away. The more I give, the more God keeps replacing. That's the way of life." So he kind of understands that, you know, and a lot of these areas, like I said, this is Lake Placid, Florida, if anyone's really familiar. So this is not like, you know, more convenient area or more city-like areas. So he understands that the convenience of people being able to get their own produce and get their own foods is probably not accessible as you would think. So the fact that he's able to understand that and he's willing to, you know, to give it out to specifically the black families, you know, it's not too long ago. Didn't we do a couple of weeks ago an article about some sisters out there in Georgia that bought up a couple of land and they were trying to buy the safe space for the land?
I remember them sisters on there.
And then we all know what's going on with Killer Mike, and Killer Mike got the Greenwood popping with the bank and the online banking. So
I see where you're going, brother. Do it for self, man.
Well, the thing is this, you know, we need to. It's kind of idea. Look, I want all of us to kind of understand, you know, what's really going on in the reality sense. Like, let's not get swept up about how we can, you know, we see the stories, what's going on in the news, and we know what's going on in the world. We can get swept up on that, and we can't let that be our main focus. We still have to understand that there's a future for us, and there's a future that we have to consistently have to think about. And part of that is, the idea is our own type of banking, you know, our own type of communities, and our own produce. We have to produce our own foods. Yes. The United States is the only country in the world. Catch me right now, everyone. Pay attention here. The United States is the only country in the world that subsidizes its own meat. The only one that does that. Now, just kind of take that into kind of reality, you know, kind of take that in for food for thought, you know what I mean? Catch the pun, you know? So, you know, we have to kind of understand that if we know that we're not going to if we know that if there's no one out there thinking about the type of health that we should have as black folks, then we should be thinking about our own type of health. We are constantly getting ended by, you know, we have the colon cancers, we have the prostate cancers, we're really high on high cholesterol, we're really high on blood pressure. But all this is really just stemming from the type of foods that we're putting into our bodies and the type of foods that we're eating on a consistent basis. I don't want to take it away from the argument. Yeah. Mr. Calvin, is still the idea. Let's start thinking about what we can do for ourselves. Now, it probably won't take much, right? Okay, now we're not asking for a lot neither. Some of us probably really got, you know, little plots of land in our own. You know what I mean? It's just all about growing. So the idea that we're going to say here, you know what I mean, for my siblings to go ahead, you know, we could go ahead and chime in. You know, I'm kind of want to bring this open discussion because that's kind of idea. You know, when we're thinking about the future and we're kind of thinking about things we can do. You know what I mean? This is one of those things that's kind of hit at not so much our financial sense, but in our health. You know what I mean? Should we be thinking about our health? Should we be concerned about our health?
It's a definite concern amongst
children,
amongst like you pointed out. You
nieces
know,
and nephews,
one of those things we have to keep in mind. You know, because we got to make sure that we live long enough to even go through this fight. You know, for generations and stuff, and health is one of those because you know one of the problems that black people face that we live largely in America too. We live in food deserts. For those who know what food deserts is like for black communities, we have to drive out sometimes miles to get healthy food, as opposed to the food we do have in our communities. We don't have to get much healthy choices or natural foods and stuff like that. And then when we do get the price is up on those things. So economically too, it's bad for us. But I just want to say, when I hear this article, you bring up this thing, you know, my brother, it reminds me one thing we got to keep in mind too, black people, as opposed to all other races in this country, especially here in America, is that we're at a complete disadvantage because of what the infrastructure we have set up for ourselves here. As far as culturally, every race can at least do one thing in this country, and that's feed themselves. From the farm to the dinner plate, every other race, Spanish, Asian, they have farming, they have distribution to their own grocery stores, to their dinner plate. They have that. Black people, we don't. There are some black farmers out there. There's a few from their own grocery stores, but I'm talking about the pipeline is not fully set up or integrated. Spanish people have their own aisle of the stuff they produce themselves. Asian people too. They have their own stuff, their own brands and contents and everything they can find in mainstream grocery stores for themselves. There is no black aisle. We have to kind of sparsely and take part in what we can find from different people, but nothing that we fully have from ourselves, especially if it's not popular and everything like that. So yes, we have to constantly remind us to do these things and to produce our own foods and stuff. What this man said in this article, and one thing that sticks out to me was basically like, it doesn't take much. 2 acres you could do something with. Hell, even if you have a backyard, you could just grow some things. Sometimes you could just grow a little something like your spices, grow that spice, and it can supplement you economically.
And a part of that too is what we're saying. You're gonna have to initially make that sacrifice to build your family, and you are what we're talking about before in teaching your kids about these countries that you're thinking that are dangerous or not actually dangerous, and you teach your kids like real history, real African history, the stuff that they're not going to learn. So this is a part of it too, where we're having to take that responsibility and educate, and it will be a sacrifice because a lot of us, you have jobs, you have multiple kids,
just so much.
It is. But you see the benefits of that now that you can't, it's even when you're on your job and you're working with different races, say you're a nurse, but you work with a lot of Filipino nurses or whatever, and you as a black nurse have to work above and beyond, just to kind of like get the same respect that they just get handed out. These are just the sacrifice you have to make. And you have to teach this to your kids and teach them gardening and teach the patience of it and the diligence. You see what I'm saying?
I see exactly what you're saying. And you made me think about something. It's a good point because, sometimes too, what you're saying made me think about we just got to get over that hump because some things become normal place. Yes, hard in the beginning. Some things is hard at first, but once you do it enough, it becomes common. We black people, we take part in this, we do it enough. It's nothing to grow your foods in the back in your garden and do all these things,
Take your kids with you.
And all this stuff,
Teach them how to grow carrots and cabbage.
We black, we seen that movie Baby Boy, and Baby Boy's mother was growing her little stuff in the backyard. She had a little garden in the backyard and stuff like that.
Exactly.
That was nice and wholesome and things too,
event.
Something that simple and small helps, Have my hands in it.
I could jump in and say that, and I think then you said you and your kids grow stuff too, but we grow stuff and we have a garden in the backyard.
Y'all grow stuff? No way.
Seriously? We have
I'm surprised.
spinach. We have this Brazilian spinach. We have broccoli, peppers. I actually use some of the peppers from our garden.
I'd imagine so.
Made,
that gumbo, was it in that gumbo you made the other day?
But what I'm saying is, okay, so I started this garden, and it actually started from Austin gardening at school. And then he was like, oh, we did this. I want to do this at the house. And so anyways, we started doing that. And the thing is, kids love it. That's, when you start it, when they're at that age and they are so pumped about it, and the stuff you pump into them at that age, that's what I'm saying. You got to look at when they try to dismantle the family, right? The family structure. And when you get in there with those kids, when you get in there and disrupt that, it really does affect your future. You really are the future. And if you can get in there and secure that, get the education in there and pump into them really what they need to have, you get good results.
This is stuff that can carry them for the rest of their life. That helps.
When I forget, he gets so excited, him and Ali. Like, they get so excited, and it's like, oh, we got to water the garden. Really, that's why the garden, because he remembers more than, like, I actually do. Always have a bunch of other things.
No.
And they remember.
Kids tend to stand, kids will be more diligent on something they care.
Yeah, right. That into them. Like how you're always saying, bro, about, learning Swahili and, really learning the language and getting the education in there. That's when you got to pump it in.
Yes, you do. Yes.
That's why it's
so
systematic.
Early.
They teach you the negativity. Systematic. You have to put the education in, the positive stuff, systematic.
And you know why that's important? Because each and every day you wake up, you're getting bombarded with Western culture and society. You're getting bombarded. As soon as you wake up and you turn on your TV, you walk out the door, you look up at that billboard, you open that magazine, every single day you're getting your daily condition. And if we don't have things in place as a people, as a culture, to offset those things and counter those effects, then we can continue to get lost. Our children get lost if they're not reared right, and we don't instill these things in them early.
Let's kind of expand the idea of, Mr. Calvin,
Bryant.
Mr. Calvin Bryant, thank you. Mr. Calvin Bryant, let's just kind of get the idea of like we should be, producing our own food and getting but not just us, getting our children.
Shout out to that brother too.
Again, and if we're thinking about in terms of our generations, yes, shout out to the brother, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
This is one of the things. This is how small is another alternative to the struggle that we can do our part. And if you take care of yourself, it helps the whole culture. And we're going to leave it there and wrap it up. This is the PM Hour. Again, if you followed us before, we on multiple different platforms. On the Instagram, it's the PM.hour. So, and reach us on Twitter and everywhere else. You know where to find us.